What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on Get Up, they're going to be talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, what kind of year they might have next year, especially with JuJu Smith and return of Ben Roethlisberger. So let's see what they have to say about that.
Let's talk about it. My favorite former Steeler is with us this morning. Ryan Clark is here today. Dan Orlovsky is ready to go, and Jeff Darlington is here as well. But RC, I'll start with you. You rolled with Big Ben to a Super Bowl. What are your expectations for him at 38 coming off the injury?
My expectations are that Ben can play extremely well. You look at Washington, Johnson, Smith Schuster on the outside. And also this defense that Coach Tomlin told me himself. He said, I got the same feeling walking into stadiums that I had when you played, RC. And if you remember those defenses, they carried the Pittsburgh Steelers during that time. And so Big Ben has weapons on the outside. He has a good offensive line. And last he was healthy, we watched him throw for the most yards he ever had in his career. But they aren't going to be depending on Big Ben as they've been for the last decade. So he has to go out there and play well, play smart, but he doesn't have to carry the team. I'm expecting big things from him and the Pittsburgh Steelers in this season.
Yeah, Dan,
So I don't necessarily agree with Ryan Clark. As far as Ben Roethlisberger, he's a well-seasoned, multiple Super Bowl winning Hall of Fame quarterback that I would never count out. I have big expectations for him next year. So last year he was hurt in the second game and he had to have elbow surgeries that ruined his year. But in 2018 he had a career high where he threw for 5,129 yards and had a career high 34 touchdowns. So that's huge right there. So it's not like Ben Roethlisberger's had multiple years of going 3-13 and has been playing like trash. No, that's not the case. That's not the case at all. So I have huge expectations for Ben Roethlisberger next year. I mean, if they were able to go, if Mike Tomlin had his squad going 8-8 last year, and with no Ben Roethlisberger, and they were playing with a bunch of second or third stringers, and they were able to get to 500, be at 8-8. Just imagine when Ben Roethlisberger comes back and he gets on the same page with Mr. JuJu Smith. And also, JuJu Smith's numbers are kind of tainted because of what happened last year. So last year, he caught the rock 42 times for 552 yards. But the year before that, 2018, when Ben Roethlisberger was there, he caught the rock 111 times for 1,426 yards and 7 touchdowns. And as far as the other receivers, James Washington and Deontay Johnson, their numbers are kind of skewed because of last year too, but they should definitely be an integral part of the offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So definitely I have high expectations for Ben Roethlisberger when he gets back. So yeah, let's continue.
People forget, I think, that Roethlisberger led the league in yardage 2 years ago, then only plays the very beginning of last season. What do you see happening?
Yeah, Big Ben's going to play really well. RC mentioned last year, and even Big Ben himself has mentioned, this is the best his arm has felt in years. And I know this is a conversation about Big Ben, but it's not about him for me. This is about JuJu Smith Schuster, because the reality is this. For Big Ben to perform the way he wants, he's always had a big-time receiver. And JuJu really needs to step up to being that true number one, because you go to his rookie year when he had Antonio Brown, he has 58 catches for like 900 yards. Really good rookie year. And then his second year, again, still with Antonio Brown there, he has 111 catches for 1,400 yards. And then go back to last season, and I know Big Ben's not there, but AB's not there as well, and he drops down to 40 yards. So for Big Ben to be in one of the top quarterback conversations for this coming season, this is so much more about JuJu. JuJu needs to become that bona fide number one receiver that Ben has always had. The Hines Wards, the ABs, Plaxico, someone like that the Pittsburgh Steelers are notorious for. So for me, this is way more about JuJu Smith Schuster becoming that bona fide number one without Antonio Brown opposite him than really is Big Ben going to be able to perform this season.
I like that take.
So I don't know. I think a lot of it has to do with Big Ben coming back. Like I said, what happened last year when Big Ben was gone? JuJu Smith was still playing, and look at his numbers. His numbers almost cut in half. So if you have Ben Roethlisberger coming back and he's flinging a rock to everybody, JuJu Smith is definitely going to do better. And like I said, James Washington and Deontay Johnson, their numbers are definitely going to rise too with the ball being distributed. So definitely, I think it has to do with Ben Roethlisberger. And like I said, if they were able to go 8-8 last year with a bunch of second and third stringers, just imagine what happens when Mr. Ben Roethlisberger comes back. Him and Mike Tomlin get on the same page, and Mr. JuJu Smith, yeah, definitely, I can see it. Big things happening for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, Ben Roethlisberger is a guy that you never want to count out. He's been to 3 Super Bowls and won 2 of them. He's that type of a veteran quarterback that's like an Aaron Rodgers. You saw what Aaron Rodgers did last year. He almost got to the big show. And 2 years before that, he didn't even make the playoffs. So you always have to be wary of Aaron Rodgers. Then you can look at Drew Brees. Drew Brees balled out last year too. Didn't like what happened in the playoffs. But Drew Brees is another well-seasoned Super Bowl winning veteran Hall of Fame quarterback that you never want to count out. You can say the same thing about Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's been to 2 Super Bowls and won 1. He's a little bit younger than the other guys, but he's still another guy that you definitely need to worry about. So you have all these quarterbacks, all these veteran quarterbacks that are still playing, and you still need to worry about them because they're still balling out of control. And Ben Roethlisberger is one of those quarterbacks that you never want to count out. So let's continue.
In both of Ben's Super Bowl wins, a wide receiver was actually the MVP of the game. Jeff, jump in here. What are your thoughts on him coming off the injury?
Well, it's interesting because I actually was skeptical initially about the idea that, well, even if it's not this injury, what injury will it be from here? He's getting older. He seems like his body is breaking down. But honestly, I kind of dispelled my own myth by simply doing the research and recognizing the fact that Ben played 16 games in 2018. He played 15 games other than a meaningless game at the end of the season in 2017. The last 6 seasons in general, he really has missed very minimal time due to injury. He's been largely durable. So while we kind of, I think, are resigned to believe that maybe Ben will continue to deal with injuries because he just gets banged around so much, we really should be having the conversation where this guy is also another fountain of youth, just like Tom Brady and Drew Brees. He really continues to do the things that have made him effective for decades.
If those guys...
So if we're going to talk about Ben Roethlisberger still playing and continue to play, going by, like you said, the timeline of all those other quarterbacks, like Tom Brady is 42, might be 43 for the next season. And then I believe Drew Brees is 40 years old. So if that's the case, I think, how old is Ben Roethlisberger? I think he's 38. So, I mean, he has a good couple more years going by their timeline to play and get to the big show. Like I said, Tom Brady isn't put all the quarterbacks in uncharted waters at this point in time because nobody's been able to do it the way he's been doing it at 40 plus years old. So as far as that, I can definitely see Ben Roethlisberger continue to doing his thing. It was kind of good that he was injured last year. He had pretty much a whole year off to heal not only his elbow, which he had surgery on, but everything else. So I can't wait to see him coming in nice and fresh and ready to go and giving the Baltimore Ravens some trouble in division, because like I said, I would never count out Ben Roethlisberger. That man, he went to the Super Bowl his second year and won it. He's won 2 Super Bowls and been to 3. Ben Roethlisberger knows how to win. He's been a winner pretty much from day one. So I would always keep an eye on a Ben Roethlisberger and never count him out. Because like I said, he could have a year like what Aaron Rodgers did last year. A lot of people were counting out Aaron Rodgers and saying, oh, well, he's probably kind of falling off. But last year, he definitely proved that he still has it. And he's a well-seasoned, Super Bowl winning, veteran Hall of Fame quarterback that can still hurt you. So let's continue.
The example, then yes, he still has plenty of time. So RC, we look at a division last year where the Ravens had just a magical year. Everything came together perfectly, and they were, during the regular season, the best team in football. But the Steelers stayed in playoff contention right to the end with probably the worst quarterback situation of any team in the league. What is your expectation for Pittsburgh in that division with Ben back?
The Pittsburgh Steelers will be the second team from the AFC North in the playoffs. And this is not going to be, they're going to sneak in right at the bottom. I believe this team will compete to win 11 or 12 games this season. The Baltimore Ravens, they could win 16. They could win 15. And so I expect them to represent the AFC North as the champion. But the Steelers are going to be a very tough out in the playoffs because they're going to be built the right way. Great defensively, great up front with a veteran quarterback that is healthy in 2020.
They're going to be 7.
Yeah, so I would definitely, like I said, don't count out Ben Roethlisberger. Even with the Baltimore Ravens, they went 14-2 last year. They had 13 Pro Bowlers on the squad. Lamar Jackson, no quarterback, won MVP. With all that said, do not count out the Pittsburgh Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger, because it might play out like the well-seasoned veteran going against a young guy like it did 2 years ago with Tom Brady going against Patrick Mahomes and what was it, the AFC Championship game? The big dog, the old veteran, might show the young dog a few new tricks up his sleeve and beat him. And that could very well happen next year between Ben Roethlisberger and Lamar Jackson, even though Lamar Jackson's absolutely killing it. Do not count out Ben Roethlisberger. Like I said, he's a well-seasoned, multiple Super Bowl winning Hall of Fame quarterback that can still hurt you. And like I said, going against Lamar Jackson and all that, I would definitely not. I would be very, very careful, because last year they were talking about if the Pittsburgh Steelers could possibly beat the Baltimore Ravens. I think it was the last game of the year last year, and they're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers have a chance. They have a puncher's chance. And as far as, like I said, they went 8-8 last year with a bunch of second or third stringers. Just imagine what could happen when Ben Roethlisberger comes back and they're dealing with a few other pieces, and him and JuJu get on the same page. There could definitely be a war between Pittsburgh and the Baltimore Ravens. So let's continue.
Teams in the playoffs this year. If there had been last year, the Steelers would actually have made it. They would have been 7th. Dan, you going to pick them to win the division?
Yeah.
I'm not picking them to win the division just yet. That is still Baltimore, but you can book it like RC said that they will be in the playoffs. But if it gets to January 1 next year and the Steelers do win the division, I will not be shocked. And let me tell everyone why. The Baltimore Ravens are losing arguably, at worst, their second best player, and that's Marshall Yonder, their offensive guard. Marshall Yonder, in his 2 years with Lamar Jackson, gave up 2 sacks to Lamar. Running behind him, they average almost 7 yards per carry. So they're losing, at worst, their second best player, and the Steelers are gaining their best player and their Hall of Fame quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger.